we had to take a little hiatus because Kiko and I were both on the road at the same time, probably in opposite ends of the nation. Where are you now, Kiko?
In Vegas,
Vegas?
81 degrees.
Oh wow!
I decided to put on a shirt because I know Alex gets offended if I don't have a shirt on.
No, I get offended.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding. But I hope everybody had a great last couple of weeks. There's been a lot obviously going on. But does anybody have anything that they have on the line right now? Anything to talk about? Deeds, good deeds?
Well, Mike shared about that. He's got a deal to share. So, oh, there, he put it up. So that's perfect.
Nice.
Anybody looking for a wholesale off-market deal? Waipio Gentry. There it is. Bam.
Like
anybody else got a deal? Any other deals to share or needs?
Yeah, guys, we just picked up 3 houses on 2 lots outside of downtown Hilo. It's actually right on Bayfront. And we're looking for contractors, honestly. Like, anybody have any connections out there that how the properties need a little bit of work? I would be super stoked to connect.
That's a Big Island?
Yeah, Big Island, Hilo.
Oh yeah, I know quite a few guys actually out there. You know Fuzzy, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Is he too busy?
He's too busy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got a lot going on. Send me a text after, come on. I might have a couple of guys you can reach out to.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I appreciate it. I'll connect offline.
It would, if anybody else does know anybody in that area too, though, wouldn't hurt to have, a couple more, because I think the guys I'm thinking of too are busy too. But what is it, 3 rehabs or?
Yeah, it's 3. Well, it's in so they're legal Airbnbs. It's literally like 2 streets right outside of downtown Hilo. And
Okay.
what we're gonna, one is well, they're all 3 gonna be vacant, but we're gonna focus on one, the biggest house. It's a 3-2, I think 1,300 square feet. Rehab that thing, get it furnished, listed on Airbnb, and then start doing the other 2. But yeah, all 3 of them will.
Are you gonna hold all 3, or are you gonna sell any of them?
We're gonna hold them.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, it's in a RM1 zoning, so it's a commercial zoning. There's all apartment buildings around it, hence the legal Airbnb status. So potentially we'll build more. We can have a unit for every 1,000 square feet. So we'll try to hold it long term. I mean, we bought it creatively, so we bought it sub to seller finance. So yeah, it's just going to be a long-term hold.
That's awesome. In a little while, can you talk about how you source that deal? That's going to be our topic later on, but that'd be super interesting.
Yeah.
And the sub 2 stuff would be cool too. Anybody got a general contractor on the Big Island of Hawaii? If you do, can you drop it in the chat? And then reach out to us too. Corey's got some.
And Kamohai, are you guys gonna have anyone, like, do you have any family out there or anyone boots on the ground?
Yeah, I have a couple aunties in Hawaiian Paradise Park.
Okay.
And then I have another kid that is in the sub 2 mentorship that's out there that's gonna help us out, boots on the ground.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just know in that area sometimes you need boots on the ground over there just to make sure everything's like working how it should, right?
Yeah, especially if it's vacant, you don't want any unwanted guests showing up at the
unwanted
property.
Permanent guests.
Right. Yeah.
We're also
raising money for 3 other deals. So, I mean, we're kind of always trying to. I know everybody is raising money and looking for deals. So, I'll put my contact info in the chat. I would love to chat with anybody that is kind of, looking to potentially come in. And I mean, for us, we're super open book. So we'll walk anybody through the entire process if they want to learn anything. So yeah,
That's
appreciate
awesome.
it.
Are you going to take any partners on for those Airbnbs?
Right now, we haven't really talked about that at all. It just made sense how it was, just because we have very little money into the deal. Our monthly payment to the seller compared to what nightly rates are is it just makes perfect sense. So we have that.
Nice.
We actually have that deal all funded, but these other ones are fix and flip. So
Crushing it, bro. I love to
Perfect.
hear that. Hey, in the chat, Alex Ibarra dropped he said yes, he might be able to help you too. Thank you, Alex.
nice, Alex. I'll
Appreciate it,
hit you
bro.
up. I'll text you after. I appreciate it.
All right. Anybody else got anything?
Hey
If
guys,
you got money, call Kama High.
hey guys,
How's
Hey,
it going?
Joey.
hey guys. Hey, just want to let you know, you guys. I'm about to get my realtor's license. Hopefully in the next few days.
Congrats, bro.
Nice.
Yeah, it's in the
You-
process. Like it's kind of inactive right now, but we're trying to figure something out with the broker I'm working with. But once it comes out, I mean, I'm rocking and rolling with the realtor stuff. But what that helps me, because then I can go ahead and make my own offers to whatever's out in the MLS and just go from there. So yeah.
Nice, bro. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Rocking and rolling. Okay, if any does anybody have anything else? What's up, Roderick?
Aloha, everybody.
Aloha.
Kamoha, I'm reaching out to my boy Jimmy over in Hilo. He's an electrician, but he knows a lot of guys over there. So as soon as he gets back to me, I'll let you know what he finds out, and maybe he can even do your electrical for you. And then I just wanted to throw out REI Automated. I've been working with Keith Gillespie here. I talked to him into being with you guys this morning, so that's why he's here. I'm stoked. And if anybody needs like a good CRM for your follow-ups, he and Brandon have just made that thing amazing. They're getting feedback every day from us to make it better and better, and it's just really cool. So a lot of love there.
I love it.
You guys are
man.
all awesome. So stoked to be here.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you, Roderick. And yeah, Keith, congratulations. You want to, Keith, tell us about it, like real quick, like tell us because we talked about it before, right? Your CRM that you're building, but it's been probably almost a year, maybe, right?
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah.
where we at?
Well, if I would sum it up in one sentence, we've built a software company here that streamlines and automates the acquisition process for real estate investors. I really have a big passion for, well, I'm now over my one sentence limit, but the second sentence would be, I have a big passion for helping, real estate investors develop good business practices, scale the operation that they currently have, and change the trajectory of their family's finances. And that's all going to be done getting out of the minutia, optimizing what you currently have, streamlining your process, automating what can be automated so that you can reclaim some of your time back and put it where it means the most to you.
I love it.
That's awesome. Tell us a little bit about how your features work that would allow that to happen. Like, how does it compare to everybody else out there with the CRM?
Yeah, well, I don't want to talk too long on this. I wasn't prepared for a 2-minute pitch. I have a 5-minute pitch and maybe a 1.5-hour presentation, depending on how deep you want to get into the weeds. But literally from the beginning to lead inception to it going under contract, we've automated about 85% of that process. So what I do in 1.1 hours and what Rod does in 1.1 hours is as effective as 8 hours in a normal real estate investor's job. In 1.1 hours equals 8. And so if you give yourself that time back, now you can be extremely effective, extremely efficient, and do more deals in less time.
Love it.
That's a pretty
Love
good
it.
30
Maybe
second
maybe we'll do a day where you just come on and demo it.
Yeah, man.
Maybe we
I
have
would
you
love
demo
that.
it real quick. One
Okay,
day.
absolutely. I'm so game.
I'm ready for an hour and a half. I wanna see this.
No, you got us inspired. We all want to go from 1.1, get 8 hours of work done, man. That sounds
There you
beautiful.
go.
Can you do that with laundry as well? Can you automate that?
Yeah.
Got that
Yes, you-
feature going yet,
You can
bro?
hire a house cleaner. It only
Oh,
takes a
yeah.
little bit to make a post.
Drop it
Oh,
off
we
at a
had a
laundromat.
housekeeper, but my wife cleans the house before the housekeeper comes. And she's
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Now that's super. So did you come up with the whole concept yourself? You hired a programmer, like you basically designed this whole thing?
Well, it was really meant for me, right? Because I was active duty in the Marine Corps, and the Marine Corps is not like a 9 to 5 freaking job. It's a lifestyle. You take work home with you. So you're doing Marine stuff all day, 12, 14 hours a day. And I live in Hawaii, so I can't call people. I was already getting up at 4 to get to work. So if I'm not going to wake up at freaking 3 a.m. and make phone calls. And I got home at around like 5 o'clock. Well, that's 8 in Cali and freaking 10 o'clock on the East Coast. Nobody's going to pick up their dang phones. And if they do, they're going to cuss you out. And so the only time that I could do anything was during my chow hour, during my lunchtime. And it was only 1 hour long. And so I didn't hire a programmer. I roped Brandon, my business partner, into doing all this stuff for me. And so he writes all the code and all the system, all the automation. He wrote all that for me. And I told him like, hey, dude, I have this 1 hour. And during this 60-minute time frame where I'm shoving food in my face, I need to know in priority order who is the most important people. And when I talk to them, I cannot be pulling, like I'm on my laptop. I'm just throwing up a hotspot. Like I can have freaking pages loading, and it needs to be efficient. When I'm talking to somebody, bam, 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 like this stuff needs to be automated. And so we worked 2.5 years on accomplishing that mission so that I could be effective and efficient during that 1 hour chow time that I had. So it wasn't meant for other people. We only made it, we did our soft launch, if you will, January 6th of this year. And so all of Q4, we had 7 companies beta testing for us. And then we opened it up January 6th. And now we're up to 46 clients, I believe.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay.
Thank you.
Can you come
Do
on
you have
next
a
week?
you have a site up, Keith?
Yeah, I'll drop it in the chat.
Yeah. There's some people asking for that.
Guys, what do you think about Keith next week? Avatar guest.
Keith might not be ready.
I don't know.
I'm
You
forever
sound
ready.
pretty
I'm ready right
Sound
now.
like
90
he's
minutes. Let's
Born
go.
ready.
Pretty ready. I think that's pretty exciting. What's I think really cool about your business idea is that it came from a personal vision, and it wasn't to go make money. It was more just to make your own life better. And so I think this is exciting. Can't wait to hear
It
more.
just shows like, yeah,
Thank you,
it's
bro.
not like we'll find a way, right? Like Keith needed more time. Like obviously we can't create more time, but I mean, I guess we could, but we'd have to engineer it ourselves, which is what you did, right? Now you turn to a business. So congratulations, bro. And
Thank you, brother.
yeah, when it's live, like you're past beta.
We're past beta. It's live. You can check out on the site. You can watch a
on
demo
the site
video.
right now, yeah.
I've got, if anybody wants to watch a demo video, I've got like a 45-minute demo video on that website. And it's pretty stinking old. It's like 6 months, which doesn't sound like a lot, but I shot it about 6 months ago. Since then, we have an automated purchase and sales agreement, which I've got the last 2 contracts from an automated purchase and sales agreement. We've got KPI tracker. I mean, there's a ton of new features that we have that video doesn't even show. And they're not small changes. They're like, I would be brash enough to say that they're life-altering changes. Like I can look at your KPIs and within 1 minute diagnose what is the biggest hurdle, what is the biggest hole that you currently have in your business. I swear, 60 seconds is all I need looking at your KPIs.
That's awesome.
Nice job on the website too, bro. It's clean. I like it.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Does anybody else have any leads, needs, and good deeds?
Anybody else create a software program in the back of their house over the last 6 months?
For
Now we all
laundry?
feel like underachievers, bro. Come on, man.
He started with a problem.
Yeah,
Solve
personal
Exactly.
problem.
Yep.
Solve problems.
Yep.
I'm fired up here, man. That is amazing.
Awesome.
Truly.
That's why he hasn't been on Coffee Talk. He was out building a little company. That's all good.
Yeah.
Yeah, in all reality, that's actually what I was doing.
Yeah.
We will forgive you then.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Forgive me tomorrow. You can still be mad at me today, but you have to forgive me by tomorrow.
We won't forgive you tomorrow. We'll forgive you next Friday after we hear about it to see if
There
it's
you
really
go.
worth it.
Okay. All right.
We'll
Um,
let the sun pass on our transgressions. It's all good. It's all good.
did anybody hear about this condo doc form that Fannie Mae is now requiring? And I've just been hearing, I've heard it from 3 people now. And actually, Ashley was one of them. It's Ashley on.
Ashley's on.
Yeah, I'm on.
Actually, what's the name of that document, and what was the requirement again? Because it's nationwide, and it's in response to the Miami condo that collapsed, right?
I think it's called the 1076 form, and it's new. They just started coming out with it this year, and there's something like 480 sales that have fallen out of contract nationwide due to this so far. And so it's starting to catch some of the real estate news outlets, and like 31% of these condos are experiencing delays in closing to try to get these forms filled out. So I think just knowing it from an exit strategy standpoint, my understanding, it's just condos, it's not townhouses, it's not planned developments or CPRs. So just condos. And then of those, it's Fannie Freddie loans. So they essentially wanted to put in another layer of protection for the collapse in Miami. And this questionnaire is like 3 or 4 pages long. And it's kind of like an RR 105C, if you've ever read condo docs before, except for it gets a lot more involved, like they're all putting their hands up, and the associations are saying, I'm not filling this out. Property managers are like, this is, too much liability. But it's not even that the questions are so high tech or anything. It's just very invasive. It's asking who does their financings and their bookkeeping. It's asking when's the last, who's the engineer who did the building. And there's just a lot of questions, and it would take these HOAs a really long time to fill out. And or if they did anything incorrectly, they would essentially be taking on liability, and the lenders aren't filling it out. And obviously realtors can't fill that out because it's a lot of questions that people just don't know. And so some of the HOAs started putting like not to my knowledge or unknown, and Fannie and Freddie are rejecting those. So it is, to my understanding, up to the individual underwriter's discretion as of right now. But a lot of underwriters are doing it because for any reason, Fannie and Freddie are notorious for making people buy back loans. So they're putting it in place because they don't want to risk Fannie and Freddie doing it. So at that point, some associations are saying, we don't want any Fannie Freddie loans, which is like 50% of your condo purchasers and home buyers. And it would be a big hit to the overall market as a whole. And if you are buying and investing in condos and reselling them, when you're vetting the buyers that are coming through, it's just going to make people question, what kind of financing's on the other side of that. And we'll see. Come summer, they're talking about revisiting the document altogether and trying to figure out a way to make it work, because they don't want to defer to attorneys. They don't want to hear not to my knowledges. We'll see what happens come summer. That was a lot. Sorry.
Didn't you lose a deal because of this? Or
we do have one under contract right now that might be falling out. For the last 2 weeks, the lender, one of my agents was like, have you ever heard of this form? I said, no, I never heard of it before. The association won't fill it out. The lenders won't fill it out. She keeps going back, brought Monopua down there, begged them to please fill it out, asked if everyone hurry up and do it. Everyone's putting their hands up and saying, we're not touching this document. And so we're currently sort of at a standstill of what's going to happen. It hasn't officially fallen out yet, but it's 50-50. So essentially what I have posed to the lender was, trying to find, I found some articles saying that it's up to the underwriter's discretion. and just because we have certain volume, we're just trying to say, hey, you know, we have a lot of volume, we can do a lot of business. Is there any way you can waive this? And that's the only leverage we really have at this point, because they can maybe, it's worth it to have it on the books because it's a small condo deal. But that would be a Band-Aid to a bigger problem. That would be sliding through one particular escrow. Now as a listing agent, however, that's my whole perspective has changed. Same with Bitcoin. We're running into a Bitcoin issue too right now, where one of our, I won't get into that. I didn't mean to pivot, sorry.
Hey, Ashley, a question on that form. Would it be helpful then for buyers, agents who represent a client looking to buy a condo to maybe include in the addendum just a notation that closing date shall be extended if underwriters require condominium documents to be completed? So that way it leaves the timeline open, but it acknowledges it in the addendum, lets the seller know, hey, this may be an issue. Most sellers probably won't think anything of it, so they'll sign it, but that protects our buyers from necessarily getting stuck with a seller wanting to close when there's a massive delay due to the form. What do you think about something like that?
Our market in particular, just because it's such an aggressive market, I don't think they have other options right now. Sellers have other possibilities. So I think that it's going to be really tough. I personally put myself in a position, if I was a seller and I got a contract that said, hey, this is a high risk contract, there's a chance it won't close and or will be delayed, and the automatic right to extend in our contracts might not be enough. And then I have a couple other contracts that might be 20% down. So it's your less than 20% down loans that this is going to affect. And I think that that's just going to be red flags. So it'll have to be condos that are less desirable or have that sit a little longer. But I definitely recommend putting something in there, because your client will be out the cost of the appraisal, most likely be out the cost of home inspections. They'll be able to probably get all their deposits back because it's not their fault.
Yeah, unless they waive financing, then they're going to be out the earnest money.
Right. Yeah. It would be good to start. It would be interesting to see what kind of verbiage starts to formulate. I would put as long of it. I don't know in other markets if you guys have automatic rights to extend in your contracts, but we do. Like if there's anything unforeseen where only one party needs to sign. If you don't have that, I would put that at like 14 days minimum, and then otherwise put verbiage in for any. And I would not reference this document. I would just say, in the event that the lender or underwriter has, further requisites that buyer and seller agree to cooperate and extend no more than 2 weeks, 3 weeks.
It'll be interesting to see how that one starts to play out, but I think it's going to be a big concern. I mean, a lot of people died in that building, so
Yeah.
that stuff gets noticed.
There's another thing that we ran into too about Bitcoin. I thought was a good lesson just for people here when taking contracts. They put accepting Bitcoin as down payment is a fairly new thing in Hawaii, at least. And they put in the contract, my agent represents buyer, that the buyer's down payments and funds is pulled from an investment. And it was very vague verbiage. Well, that investment was Bitcoin. And in Hawaii, we're only allowed to use Gemini, the app. And I don't know if anyone here uses Gemini or is into Bitcoin, but the client pulled it out. And in the statement, they don't have account numbers on their statements. They do have the name and they have the address, but they don't have referencing numbers, account numbers. So when they pulled out the statement, say, for example, they pulled out 75,000 worth of Bitcoin. By the time it transferred to the bank account, Bitcoin had gone up. So the amount that transferred into the bank account, let's say, was 80,000, but the amount on the statement is 75,000, and there's no reference or account number. So now the lender is rejecting the funds because the two amounts don't line up on the statement and the bank account. And even though on the statement you can see where the funds came from, they don't have the proper trail, and it's not gift funds. You can only get gift funds and large lump sums unless if that money is vested for 2 months, and then they just have the two bank statements. They don't question it. So now that deal is falling out of contract because the underwriters won't approve this money. So they don't have the down payment. They won't accept it. So something to consider, again, if you're on the resale side of things and your realtor is going over the contracts with you, just looking at to see where those funds come from. And if one, they say it's being pulled from an investment, ask for proof of that investment. What is the investment? Two, the logical question is, has the lender verified this? They often give you a lender verification letter. Well, calling the lender and saying, you guys verified these funds. Well, so did the lender, but they verified it into a Bitcoin account. They didn't verify that was pulled out and inside the bank account yet. So just asking qualifying questions, digging a little deeper. And, two, as far as talking about the expectations with your clients, hey, if you're going to use Bitcoin, make sure you pull it out at the very beginning. And then make sure that you put it straight into your bank account and you don't let it vest in the wallet, because you don't want the amounts to change. And then, or doing it in advance, 60 days out.
Yeah, that space is it's quickly changing a lot of things, and it's important to keep eyes on. When I was in Tampa last week, we were at the New Wealth kind of launch of their office out there. One of the speakers was this woman who was, I think she was the first one to sell her house on the blockchain or something like that, with Ethereum. I think so. I didn't quite catch all the scoops. Kind of some of it goes over my head, but I'm trying. So it's definitely shaking things up a lot. And so another thing we gotta, stay tuned to. But thank you for sharing that. What was the name of that form for the condos?
So it's a 1076 form,
76.
otherwise just known as the Fannie Freddie condo questionnaire. Not everyone refers to it as 1076.
So I think with this questionnaire, if you're buying a condo, right, in a building, I'm guessing it'd be good to at least talk to whoever's the property manager and see what their situation, like if they can even answer a form like this. Because can you imagine like a building with like hundreds of units and like maybe there's like 20 being, like maybe like a handful being sold every month, that these guys have to fill out that questionnaire every single time? Like, it's a pain. And plus people don't want the liability, right? So it's causing big problems, but we'll see where it goes. In the meantime, it's better to stay ahead of it, I guess, right? So if you're buying into a building, at least bring it up. And, because if you're going to flip a house, your buyer on the back end, if they're getting financing, it's probably going to have to fill this questionnaire out. And you might as well get started on it early, maybe.
There's no one to fill it out, unfortunately. I would
Right.
say if you're going to buy the condo, I would ask the association, hey, have you guys ever filled out this 1076 form, and are you willing to? I would make that as part of your due diligence, actually, and get this form, and I can drop it into the chat. And if anyone who needs the form or has it, they can just say, would you guys be willing to fill out this form? Maybe.
Yeah. And I'm even wondering, like, for the one in Vegas, Kickwad, I guess it doesn't matter because we'll be in control of that, right? We can answer the questionnaire. But what if it's questions that we don't know from the seller, like about the engineering and stuff like that?
You don't want to take the liability on of filling this out. That's why
Right.
you can't, because if anything happened to that building, if anything, God forbid, did happen, they're going to say who filled out this form. They're going to defer to that person, and you can't.
I mean, the way I see it,
not going to fill it out.
we have to be honest, right? So if we don't know, we can say we don't know, I guess, right? And they'll get denied the loan.
Right.
So yeah, we can, we don't have to take the liability, but at the same time, if we want to sell the units, right? If that is the exit strategy that is pursued, it's going to be hard to sell it without financing. Half of it will be probably, more than half will probably be financed, I'm guessing. So anyway,
this
something
isn't
to
a
keep eyes on,
form.
right?
Yeah, this isn't a form that I even think of a seller, if they would even allow a seller to fill it out. even in this situation, they didn't ask the seller to fill
No,
it
but
out. They asked
we're the owner. Right, so like
right
the,
owner, seller. In
Right,
this
so we-
situation, even the lender asked the owner seller to ask the association to fill it out instead of the lender and the agents asking to fill them out, because technically, if a owner asks the association, they're supposed to provide information. So that's one of the routes that they're trying to bypass it. But you don't want to fill this out. I mean, it's literally like total number of units sold and closed under contract to investor owners, total number of units rented by developer, sponsor, converter, total number of units owned by the HOA. It's asking for who's the developer, you to name them all, how much percentage do they own. You know, it asks for who's the name of your tax preparer or your title preparer. Yeah,
and it is kind of,
8 pages. It's comprehensive.
Ashley,
Yeah.
how is
Okay,
that
Greg.
form? I'm sorry. Hey guys, I had another call briefly when you were first explaining it. So excuse me if I missed this, but that's what you just explained sounds very similar to the RR105C, is it?
Yeah, I mentioned it's like, it reminds me of an RR105C, except for the RR105C, which a lot of that information will be in there, but it does not list, for example, let's see, some of these questions are,
they're gonna have to do both now.
the RR105C is already filled out by the association. They're willing to do that. And a lot of these questions are in there. But in the RR105C, they don't tell you to list who owns in that association if they're the developer or owner. And if they put not to my knowledge on information, underwriters typically don't, ignore that underwriting. It asks you what type of commercial or non-residential use is on site. It asks you what's the replacement cost and maximum coverage of condos under the National Flood Insurance. Again, that's an RR105C. They want to know who is the contacting carrier for all the different insurances. So they're asking for a lot of the detailed information. And then when was the last building inspected by a licensed architect, licensed engineer, or any other building inspectors?
Oh,
Did the last inspection have any findings related to safety soundness? What were the repairs? I think at that point, people are gonna say, I don't know when, because how often do they have their building inspected by engineers? I think those are some of the questions where these aren't hard. It's just, if you put something wrong, that's a lot of liability. How many lives were lost in Miami? That would fall on the person who filled this out and said, hey, we would have never lent on this complex if you had put the correct answer.
yeah, I guess.
Ashley, is that something that is already into effect? And it's basically, it sounds like it's up to the lender, but most lenders are going to be requiring it. And are hard money lenders requiring it? I'm asking because I'm supposed to be closing a wholesale on a condo like in a week. So I'm hoping they don't come back and ask for it now.
The hard money side, no, because we don't deal with Fannie.
Oh, this is
So-
the Fannie Freddie requirement.
Yeah, just real quick, I don't want to bore people, but real quick, this is Fannie Freddie requirement. This is something that just came out this year. My understanding is underwriter's discretion. However, because Fannie and Freddie are notorious for selling loans back, most people are requiring it. Most lending institutions are requiring it, but not all yet. It's become such a nuisance, not nationwide. They're talking about revisiting the form and adjusting it come summer. But this is going to affect maybe 50% of your sales. So you just got to be careful what buyer you're accepting. And then you ask the lender, again, calling the lender on the pre-approval, asking if they require this form, contacting the association, asking if they're willing to fill out this form, and doing your due diligence.
And this is affecting cash out refis as well.
Yes. Cash out. It's unclear if it's new purchases and refis. Of the 480 plus that fell out of contract, it's unclear, but I would assume so. It's the same underwriting process. if it's a
Well, it
loan.
depends who your lender is too, right? Like if you're using like a asset-based DSCR lender like ourselves, probably not. I mean, I'll confirm, but I'm pretty sure Fannie doesn't, like, we don't like sell anything to like Fannie Mae or ours goes to Wall Street, I believe. So I don't think we're held to that form, but I would check with your lender for sure. Are you going through that right now, Kamohai?
Yeah, Tristan's on the call. I think she's dealing with that right now. They're asking for a specific form.
Okay. But it sounds like it's real new. So all the issues and nuances are now coming about, and it seems like it's a big problem. So I have a feeling they're gonna have to, change that thing around. But hopefully you guys can close.
Just have them shop. That's why you just talked for your refi, Kamohai. Shop, ask the lender, are they going to require this? And then find the lenders who are not requiring it right now, if you guys have any issues. And then for the same thing, if you're selling something, just ask those questions on the buy side.
Thank you for dropping the form in there. Yeah, I'd recommend if people are buying in condos to probably go through that form. All right.
It should be all right. Like pretty much you gotta assume that any retail or conventional buyer is gonna need portfolio. They might be able to get Fannie Freddie, but count on it being portfolio pretty much.
Yeah. Yep.
Because
Okay.
portfolio lenders shouldn't require it if they're not selling, right?
Yeah, they hold it on the books, right? So, yeah, that's one thing to stay ahead of it is assume that you're going to be dealing with portfolio lenders, but or a portfolio loan. Okay, cool. You want to move on to what we're going to talk about? We don't have much time, but
Yeah, no, but that's a super important topic. So
Yeah.
thanks, Ashley, for bringing that up, because that's definitely something we all need to be aware of. We were just going to spend a little bit of time just chatting a little bit about some sources that you folks are finding in terms of your current sources for deals. And for example, Kamohai just talked a little bit about his recent 3 units on the Big Island. So that's pretty cool. But if Kamohai's still on, maybe he could jump in and share. We're always looking for deal sources. And so if any of you have gotten a deal recently and you've got a pretty good source that you've utilized for landing that deal, that would be really awesome to hear. I think Roderick had to jump off. Kamohai, so talk a little bit about your most recent acquisitions. Like what was the source of the acquisition in terms of, did you send out something? How'd you get in touch with them? And then how'd you negotiate that?
Yeah, so we do a bit of everything marketing wise. So we do PPC, we send out text messages, we do have a full-time texter, a full-time cold caller, but the deals that we have got currently that lately have been coming through referrals, and they tend to be our best deals. And this one in Big Island came through a referral. So the guy that we ended up buying it from was a part of our mentorship. So the sub 2 mentorship. Hence, we bought the deal sub 2 seller finance. So it wasn't him, but it was his father. So his father is a tired landlord, older. He lives off the grid on the Hilo side. And he had this property. The houses are starting to become more distressed, right? Like his son called him a master maintenance procrastinator. So like fixing things just so it's good enough for so many years, but that catches up with you after a while, right? And now he's at a point where he doesn't have all the money to come back in and fix these houses up. And all he wants is just a payment monthly to be able to live off the grid. And so we came in and he had a HELOC on the property. we ended up getting him to modify the HELOC from an interest-only payment into a amortized loan. Then we took that over sub 2, and then we created a second seller finance note for his equity. But it came from a referral. Last year, we had a number of referral deals as well. I'm interested, if Keone's on the call, I saw him. He has a very interesting thing that he's been doing recently, reaching out to realtors for off-market opportunities and referrals, and he's been finding success in that too. So that would be cool if he could share a little bit about that. But that deal came from a referral.
What's up, everybody?
Keone, happy little Friday.
Happy Aloha Friday.
Hey, Keone, hang on for just a second. Kamal had a couple questions for you. You said earlier you get one full-time texter and a full-time something other. Are those virtual assistants? Are they basically your wife? Or are they your children?
Yeah, I wish my children one day, but my children are too small. They're a virtual assistant. So we utilize virtual assistants. They're based out of the Philippines. We've been with them for a year now. So the key for us has been, and we've gone through a bunch of them. The key really is training. You got to train. We jump on calls with them every single day, but they are VAs.
Gotcha. That's awesome. And then did you get an attorney to help you draft that sub 2, or do you have a template you're using these days? How would somebody who doesn't have a sub 2 document best structure a sub 2?
Dude, super easy. Well, you could reach out to me for sure for like documentation, but you find the right title and escrow officer. Like literally what it comes down to is if you're on Oahu, reach out to Pam Sato. I feel like she's the only one that will close a sub 2 in Hawaii. So it's really about the relationship and leveraging that relationship. And then she actually gets her attorney to draft up what's called a purchase money mortgage is for the seller finance note. But like you just tell her what the terms are, and then she drafts up all the paperwork.
That's awesome. So that way she's hiring her attorney, and then the cost of escrow is what it costs you to actually get the sub 2 documentation.
Correct.
That's true Pake special right there. I like it. Awesome. Any other questions for Kamohai? That was super interesting. If you decide to sell any of those Hilo short-term rentals, call me.
Got it.
Some super. We should talk about the tax benefits of short-term rentals sometime. Like the amount of accelerated depreciation is far greater than multifamily properties.
Wow, yeah, for sure. I want to hear about that. There's a lot of people on the call that do short-term vacation rental. Wow. Keone, you want to talk about your strategy?
Yeah, for sure. So I do like Kamohai, do a little bit of everything, right? I feel that as investors, we can't just have one strategy, right? We can have the best systems in the world, but it's like, I think it's like no stone left unturned. And it's just whatever hits, right? So it's just the consistency part, like truly just being consistent with it. And then, lead gen just comes in different forms. It would be nice if the pipeline just flows every single way as far as we're generating leads. Fortunately, it doesn't, and that's why consistency is the big word. So what I've really focused my efforts on since last year, and I've really been real light on it, and only recently, and our mentors, like I think, Kamwai and I were in the same mentorship program. Several of us are here as well with sub 2. And then also Jamil and Pace. So they pitched what's called an agent outreach, and they really went into detailed. And I want to say that I was literally on the road when Corey had called on me, and I just got done with one of the sessions. It was like something that they were doing for free for everybody. I think a lot of people slept on that. It was this teaching you that how they take advantage of working with agents. I think you hear this all the time, right? Hey, you got to have a great investor-friendly agent. But really, people are saying they're just like, we find all our deals, 100%, everything from working with agents, all MLS deals, and everybody like BS. I'm calling BS. So they did this whole program. So I tested it out, and I think at that time when Corey called on me, I'm like, dude, I'm literally like, I just got done with this thing this morning. Implemented it, I took action. I'm like, that's easy enough. Let me just jump on the phone. It just worked out that I found this agent. So I'm like, oh yeah, I'm right down the road, which I wasn't. I was in Kapolei, the house is in Kapahulu. I'm like, I'll meet you there. Like, she's like, oh yeah, I just have this off market one. I got to go take a look at it for a family. So I jetted it out there, and that's when I jumped on. But nevertheless, my leads I've been doing, and I've been really focusing on concentrated effort, is an agent outreach, agent attraction, just literally working with agents. And I only do local. So like I work with tons of agents here, and I've been really pouring into not just trying to find deals, but trying to gain and understand, because again, I'm on that side of the fence too, right? For those who don't know, I'm a licensed agent as well, but primarily I represent as an investor first. I'm an agent second. And a lot of my agent dealings are mainly just for the buy side. So what I do is I just have these conversations, and I wish somebody spoke with me as a friendly agent and said, hey, and they're an investor, you ever see the side of our fence? And I didn't see it until I was on the closing table, where like all we concentrate on and all we're taught when we get our license, they don't even teach us how to negotiate, right? It's just all laws and practices. Literally, just protect the firm, protect this. It's like, you're on your own for everything else, right? It's train on your own. Nevertheless, when I sat at the closing table and I saw my commission, and you already do your math in your head, right? Like, okay, 6%, 3%, whatever you're doing, whatever the broker's cut is, depending upon what you're truly making. But then when I saw the seller side on how much their net profit is, I'm like, dude, I got to get on that side. So that's the conversations that I have, not to be long-winded, but I think this is the conversation for anybody who's agents out there as well that are also investors. And they're like, what does that mean, agent outreach? It's like trying to understand what are your goals, right? We always talk about your whys. And maybe sometimes the conversations that I have, that they're just okay with being retail representatives. I just like representing buyers. I love working with first-time homeowners and first-time home buyers. I find them their dream home perfect, you know, and it's like maybe investing is not on their end right now. But then there's also those other ones. At the end of the day, agents all have to market and find properties. They all have to do whatever way they do their mailers and whatnot. It just never dawns on them that when I have these conversations that they truly can buy it themselves. They're finding these homes off market, right? It's not on market all of a sudden like that. They're the one that's bringing it to market, but in their mind, there was just like, oh no, I just have to represent them. They said that they want this dollar amount. They don't even ask why. They just said, hey, what do you think you want for your house? Let me go run the comps for you. Yep, I think we can put it on. It's a seller's market. But when you truly get down to the nitty gritty on what we do as investors is asking them why. They're like, oh man, I'm just in a situation. I got to get out of this deal. It's like, what is the number then? And when you can have these detailed conversations about asking them, you might be like, oh my gosh, yeah, I think I can satisfy that right now. If I was able to buy this right now, would you be okay with that? So it doesn't dawn that way. So when I go have these conversations, even at that point, agents are like, oh, it's kind of scary. So now that I'm having conversations, letting them know, and they're all interested, they want to partner up, they're finding deals like, dude, I got like 10 of those deals right now. I never even thought about that. Perfect. And that's because again, I've been an agent for over 10 plus years, but I never took the time. All I do is like, hey, let me know. And I thought I was doing a good job. But again, that whole agent outreach, just the lights went off for me. I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to spend more time, pour into more, and be real intentional about like having these conversations with agents and like trying to find that win for them. It's not just about finding deals. Let me try and figure out how we can work together, not just one, but roll this into a relationship, right? And a lot of them say like, I got money. Literally, I'll let you guys know, yesterday, I just locked up six-figure deal with a private money lender who's an agent. It's crazy. I was telling Richie, like, oh, dude, like, sorry, I got to take this call. I said, oh, so she's going to be my lender on the next deal already. Like, I just have something lined up. So she's excited about it. But like, these are the conversations that we had. Agent outreach program. Sorry, again, it's long, but like, I want to share that. Don't sleep on it, right? Like there's a lot of agents that we know of, and you hear a lot of people putting out there, hey, you got any deals? Let me know. But it's the conversations, the intention about like letting know, can I work together? And they all want to partner up. They want to learn. So a lot of them bring the deals to me, but they want to shadow me, right? So like, cool. So and I represent both. Even though I'm the agent, I said, dude, I don't need the commission. So even more incentive. What? I found the deal, but I know, Keone, you're the agent. Dude, I don't need the 3%. So you, as long as the seller is saying he was willing or she was willing to pay 6%, that's all you. Have at it. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh my gosh, hell yeah. So again, more incentive. We're throwing everything at them to work with you, right? And that's why, like, I try to do a lot of these things that you think it's just known, but it's really not. Like, so we're coming to the source where, put it this way, like today is March. I think I got like 4 in escrow right now, got like 5 ongoing. But of those, what, I guess 8, 9 deals, I mean, 6 of them are all agent outreach.
That's amazing. So
Wow.
Keone, if somebody wants for Get One agent that is in their network, or you kind of vet them out, what's the first steps? Because, you know, like in Hawaii, there's like thousands, right, of agents, and some of them are worth nothing. Some have good connections. What's the first step for somebody to qualify a list of agents? Where do you start?
Yeah, so great question, Kiko. What I share and the way I've done it before, so I'll share with this too, like with being in a mentorship, we were able to gain access to a nationwide list of agents. I didn't even tap into that because my old strategy was, and I share this with a lot of local people, the people like, how do you do that? Question that you just asked. There's only so many big box agents here in Hawaii, right? So like, if you think about it, it's right off the top of your head, the Keller Williams, the Remaxes, the Caldwell Bankers, you know, EXP, you have all of these, but then now they all have offices. So what you would do is like, you just pick one. Obviously everybody's like, who's the investor friendly companies? Everybody knows Gary Keller, right? So it's like, I better check with Keller Williams first. I mean, pick whatever one you want. You go online, no matter where you are, but then it's like what you're looking for and what you're targeting is the office manager. They're the one that holds the key to everything. You don't need to call every list of agent because you can go to their website and you see all the names on there. But if you just went to the website, looked up Hawaii, and then you looked up, you can narrow it down. Now, what island? Maui, Kauai, Big Island, Oahu. So we're all on Oahu. And then now you go down and you just look at the office because every Remax has about 15 plus offices, right? So it's like, just pick up the litter, just pick one. But what you're looking for is the actual office, the brick and mortar office. Even EXP, right? We're virtual, but there is still an actual office here, right? $500 Moana. Like there's somebody there that's an office manager. So you call that number and then you have a conversation with them because they're the one that knows everybody. And then you ask them the question, which what Kiko asked. And I would say, who's the investor friendly agents? Who would you recommend that actually works with tons of investors? You know, and they can refer you, right? Not the new, you can even ask who's the newbies because you might want the hungry ones. And then you just go down the list and they're like, oh yeah, but you don't want the busy ones. In my opinion, the guys who old school and they're just super busy, they're not going to have time for you to make all of these freaking deals and work with investors. They're just kind of, I wouldn't say stuck in their ways, but in my experience, I mean, you got to find those hungry ones that also work in investors. So for me, a step would be like, get on the phone, just easy, online, look for the office manager and have that conversation and just get about 5 of them and just go through every single brokerage and then just get on the horn. Just get on the horn and just speak to everyone and just keep going down the list. Because from there, they're probably gonna say, man, I'm super swamped. I go, hey, same like what we do as talks, as investors, like, hey, you got any referrals though? Who does work with investors? And it just goes down, it trickles that way. So that's the way I've done it. And I've been doing it that way. And then now it's just a referral thing. Obviously, social media is a big presence, right? People who are agents, they do follow you, right? And they see what you're doing. There's a lot of guys on here that have big presence. I'm not a big social media person. I do my best, but that's not my main. But still, you're out there. And I got, again, several of those years online and just having conversations is that it attracts agent to agent. So that's why one of my things I have on my name is that I'm also a licensed agent. So people resonate with that. Like, dude, I see that you're an agent. How are you doing this? How are you doing that? These are all the roadblocks, right? The paper walls that we say that it's held me back. So I'm more than happy to, like, you know, shorten the curve for these other agents that are basically on the fence because they're like so scared about liability and stuff like that. So I love that I have that I guess advantage on everybody else who wants to work with agents because I'm an agent to agent. But again, I wear my primary as an investor. So I hope that answers the question.
Oh, that's huge, dude. Huge. Thank you for sharing that. And I remember that day, like I think we were talking and you were telling me about the strategy. Like, that makes sense. I mean, I have a off-market deal that I got because of a relationship that I have with the agent. She knows that what we do, right? So she called us and I got to look at it first. You know, they're going to go to market, but like it is possible that the homeowner, they just want to get into contract, and like, I understand like HBR, they have, their best practices and stuff and ethics. So they think it might be unethical to go to market or to not to go to market, right? And take something before you go, take an offer before you go to market. But look, if a buyer and seller agree, I feel it's a fair shake, then, don't get in the way.
Yeah,
Right.
100%. The biggest thing that I hear a lot of agents actually say is like, I hear wholesaling. What is wholesaling? Is that, and then that's the whole topic, right? Kiko has been doing it. You guys have been bringing this up, and it's so weird that it's all kind of aligning where it's like, that's the easiest way, right? But it's like agents like, I don't know, I've been hearing that it's illegal. So like, these are conversations that I'm literally having with the agents to basically break down those, naysay and just answer it, right? These are the things, the pros and cons, and just kind of like cut and dry, and then just break down those walls, like I'm saying. So like, they're just on the fence, like, what is the difference then? And honestly, like, when you're a wholesaler, you do act as the conduit, right? It's almost like being the agent between the buyer and the seller. But there's basically key differences. There's key phrases in there. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but honestly, it's the word equitable interest, right? And that's what wholesalers have versus basically realtors, right? And that's the difference that basically holds them accountable or not accountable for lawsuits. As long as you can gain equitable interest, which is what realtors don't have, yeah.
And usually there's money exchanged, right? Like EMD to make it binding and fully executable. But that's a great strategy. And I mean, it's a numbers game too with realtors, except realtors are kind of a little bit more savvier than a retail buyer that you're talking to and negotiating with off market, so I'm sure it's going to be a little bit more pleasant call, like it's more like outbound sales.
Yeah, and like with all of the lists that we're buying and systems and automating it all works as well. But for me, like the organic stuff, face-to-face wins all the time, man, because that's what the homeowners want to see, somebody in their face. And if that's the realtors, again, licensed, professional, instead of some cold caller, there's a lot of things that if you put yourself in the seller's position, yes, they're in a situation, but they just don't know the trust factor, right? When you already say that you're a licensed agent, I mean, honestly, like you got guys right out of school don't know nothing, and you got seasoned investors, but like just by them saying that I'm a licensed agent for, then you hang this name EXP or Keller Williams, it just resonates because that's all they know. And they're already broke down that wall already. So that's how they were able to get that listing from us guys that are just out and investors. Even though we have more savviness, more experience, this professionalism of being an agent wins all the time. So why not just work with them directly, right? We as agents just work with the agent, get the deal from them, figure it out. So far, so good. Again, that won't be the only strategy, but man, it's been kind of on fire right now. Like just kind of been crushing it with it because I feel that I've been putting a lot of energy and true intention towards it rather than just a strategy to find deals. Yeah.
I love it. Thank you for sharing, Keone.
For sure.
Appreciate it, bro. That was there are some golden nuggets in there. And I know that is true because I'm looking at a deal right now with this exact situation, from a realtor. And so I think I agree what you said earlier on. It's like you kind of have to have your hands in, different strategies. Maybe not to spread yourself too thin, but when you find something that works initially, then double down. Right. But at first it's like, okay, what's working for me? Like I was trying everything too, driving for dollars and stuff and making calls to maybe agents, checking Craigslist at the time. Craigslist was like the thing before, like, Facebook Marketplace or Zillow and stuff. Like everyone just look on Craigslist. But I think having a strategy where you're talking with other real estate professionals, like why not? Because at the very least, you'll get some intel, some data, right? And this kind of reminds me about we had a book that we were going to start doing like a little book club internally within our company, and the first book was The Way of the Wolf from Jordan Belfort, and some key points that I learned that I'll share before we cut for the day or for the week is basically there is a very necessary part of sales, which is you need to build rapport and you need to build certainty, right? And you need to be able to take control of a conversation or a sales presentation. And during that, you're really trying to build certainty for three things: your product or your service that you're selling, the company that you're with, and yourself. And if you can build trust and certainty for those three things, then you're at a point to ask for the sale or, go for the close, right? And what I also learned was he calls it the straight line system, right? There's an open to close. Every sale is the same. Every transaction is pretty much the same when you break it down to the framework. And what he was saying is like to take control of a conversation or any type of, whether you're talking to another agent or a seller that you're looking to buy from, is they're gonna have objections most likely, right? Most people are not gonna say yes on the first go around because they just may not be ready yet. And so when they have objections, you want to take normally objections is like, like they're not interested, right? It's a negative thing. But if you understand that objections are actually opportunities for you to qualify them more, and then be able to address the objection and how your product or service can actually help them, then you start looking at objections or any counters as opportunities to share more and qualify them more, right? I learned so much from that book, but the last point was scripts, right? And I never really liked scripts. I would always just have like what I used to call anchors. Like at some point in this conversation, I'm gonna say this, and at some point I'm gonna say this. When I'm gonna ask for, or give my offer or go for the close, I'm gonna say this, right? So I had anchors to help guide me. But after reading that book, I realized how like scripts are very necessary, especially starting out, right? And you're not a script isn't something you're gonna read really word for word. It's just something that you have, that you're prepared, right? So any objection that comes your way, you already know how to address that objection and turn that objection into an opportunity for you to close. Okay. And so when I read about the scripts, it's like, okay, the reason why he puts so much importance to that is because if you're working off a script and you know what you have to say and you put your reps in, then you don't have to take the extra time to think about what you're gonna say. You already have that, so you can use that mind space and energy to focus on their tonality and their questions and your tonality and your questions, right? So that it gives you a little bit of an advantage in the conversation so that you're always in authority in the conversation and you're guiding it along to closing, right? So whatever your closing will be. Because sometimes if you're going too heavy on the rapport side, you might be going and talking about all kinds of stuff and you'll never close, So at the end of that's one thing I would recommend Jordan Belfort's book, plus it's an interesting story, right? He went to prison. I don't know. I mean, he's the Wolf of Wall Street, if you've seen that movie. So, but he definitely is one of the pioneers in sales, like his system is great.
That's great points. If I could just add something, Corey. This is a caveat with the whole agent outreach. I guess if people are, keen to it and want to do that, just remember that all agents are not created equal, right? So it's going to take time. You had talked about the reps and whatnot. So like with anything, right? Like with what we do, this is not a get rich quick scheme at the end of the day, right? This is a marathon and not a sprint. And like with a marathon, you have to train, you got to put in the reps, right? So you got to go through a lot of agents, you got to ask these questions. But I do want to make sure that like it's not as easy as it seems. Like you just got to keep calling for the right person, because you run into objections, what Corey just mentioned. The objections with these agents, they got to filter to the BS as well. There's a lot of investors out there just like, you know, they're giving us a bad name, the true seasoned guys, and, you know, and even newbies, right? Like you just got to break down these walls, but these agents are going to just filter and they're going to say like, cool, okay, well, where's your proof of funds? And then you don't know what to do, right? So like you had talked about, how do we break down these objections? To me, even if you've never done a deal right now, that's why I think you heavily rely on this community, right? Because we're all partners. Right, we're all together. So you say my team and I. These are the words, right? You talked about tonation and all this, but when you start stuttering and whatnot, they're already going to know, like, I don't know who I'm dealing with. So that's why you can always elevate to your partner, to a senior partner. So again, it's overcoming these objections, especially when you start talking to these seasoned agents. I do want to point that out, that like, it's kind of BS what Keone just said. No, you got to filter through a lot of agents, because not everybody is created equal. I started out by saying like, you got to find the investor ones, right? That want to work and actually can see the light bulb. A lot of them just don't know because they're just cut and dry. I only like the retail side. I love working with buyers, retails, one-off sellers, working with forever home buyers. Perfect. No problem. At some point, maybe you see the light. I'll follow up with you. I'll put you on my drip campaign, check with you later, but there are tons of agents out there. So yeah, just wanted to put that caveat out there.
I love it. I love it. That's a great shot. I think there's going to be a bunch of agents getting calls from us, I think now. Thank you guys for sharing. Thank you, Keone. That was huge. That was awesome. Thank you, Ashley, for talking about Form 1076 Fannie Mae. Something to keep eyes on. So I hope everybody has a great weekend. We will be back next week. Keiko, I had to jump off early, but and I have a call in a little while. Normally I like to hang out and talk story, but I gotta jump off. So till next week, we'll see you guys later. Have a great weekend. Happy Aloha Friday. Hello, everybody. Thanks, Kamohai.
You guys have a good weekend.